Bricks delivery to mission control in Cosmodrome. Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of SnowRunner here at OpenFed Gaming. I am the OpenFed. We are on the west side of the map in Cosmodrome at a warehouse where we just picked up 2 loads of bricks that we're going to deliver to mission control, which is in the east side of the map. About half, they're both about halfway up, and we got to kind of make a U-shaped delivery drive. Now we are in the final showdown, the part 2 between the Avonhorn A15 and the PLAD 450, which is what we're driving at the moment. Now the Avonhorn did not bad on the trip, but we're going to try and compare it to the PLAD because we're driving the exact same route. Now when I compare vehicles in terrains, I don't like the analysis where you get the 2 trucks or 3 trucks or whatever to do the same thing and see what happens, how long it takes. But speed doesn't interest me. What interests me is the type of truck and how it reacts to the different environments where you use it on deliveries. So the best way to compare them is to load them up with similar weight, and the Avonhorn had a set of slabs of concrete on the back, and we got 2 pallets of bricks. Now they're pretty similar, and we're going to drive the exact same route, and then we can see where the one has trouble and is it an issue where as compared to the other one. Now we're driving over ice roads here, as you can tell, and neither truck had an issue with it because they both have chains on, so they never have any problems on any kind of ice road whatsoever, and it even seems to help a little bit in the snow sometimes. Now the Avonhorn is a little bit smaller truck than the PLAD, a little bit smaller tires, and when you have the 2-slot cargo deck in the back, the flatbed, you can't have a crane. Now with the PLAD, the truck itself is a little bit bigger, and the engine power, I don't know what the numbers and the ratios are, but the engine power is more than sufficient in a moor, which in my opinion is probably the hardest region I've played so far. So having said all that, we want to see how the trucks differ when they go through sloppy mud like this and deep snow and stuff like that. Like I said, the Avonhorn did not bad. Now the PLAD seems to do a little bit better, I think. It's going a little bit faster through these problem areas, but we're not through all of them yet. So that very first little creek, mud creek or pond when we left the warehouse, that was a little bit of problem for the Avonhorn. We did have to winch him forward, but the PLAD did okay. He cruised right through that. A little bit slower, but he cruised through it. So I'll give him kudos for that. But there again, if there is something to winch onto, I really don't care whether you got a winch or don't got a winch. You got a way to get through it, and that's the bottom line. That's the only thing that matters. So, if there's several different ways of looking at it, and the truck that you eventually end up using is going to be dependent upon the kind of job you do. Because if you have to, say, carry 3 loads of bricks, you'd have to take 2 trips with the Avonhorn and the PLAD, or with the PLAD you could put 1 load on top. So you would definitely take the PLAD over the Avonhorn. If you need to take 4 loads of bricks, you would take the Kenworth. And if you're in snow and ice, you gotta have a truck with chains. That's just all there is to it. With snow and ice, you gotta have chains. Now, here we are about halfway, I guess. It was the easiest part of the halfway, and we're gonna fuel up. You never ever pass a fuel station if you can help it. It doesn't matter how much you need. We've got a 300-liter tank. It's hard to see there. There we go. The 300-liter tank, and we still had reserves on top, and we could probably make it, but you never know is my motto. Just be prepared just in case. So as we're coming out of here, like I said, there's a few sloppy areas that we got to go through, and the Avonhorn I like to drive it in the high range of the low gear. Now the PLAD doesn't have that. It only has a low and automatic, and then a high gear from the automatic. So it doesn't have a high range in the low gear, and by driving it that way, it keeps it at a steady pace, and you get a little bit more torque. Now, when we came through here with the Avonhorn, we got stuck and we had to winch again, and we'll see how the PLAD does. Now, he doesn't seem to be bothered by it too much. And the snow gets a little deep up here, but if there were no trees around, you wouldn't have any problem. Now with the Avonhorn, if there were no trees around or no poles beside the road, you'd be hooped. You'd be stuck because you wouldn't be able to get through. And I don't know what you would do then. But anyhow, that's not the case. So you really can't go by that. You got to go by the delivery that we're doing today and that we did with the Avonhorn. This is the route. So as we're coming here now, the track in a few places is a little bit narrower, and I think the Avonhorn, even though it's got dualies on the back, is a little bit narrower of a truck, and it's also got a lower center of gravity. But both trucks are very good on its wheels. They are very steady. The PLAD doesn't like to run into half trees on the side of the road, though. We do have to go around those. We can't go through them. I didn't see it there, but that's okay. Now as we're coming up here, the snow gets a little bit deeper, and we got a little bit of a dip in here with some mud, and you know, yes, general nuisance is more than a difficult way to get through. And even the PLAD, like I said with the Avonhorn, I've overloaded it, and the extra weight really didn't make much difference, and I have with the PLAD too. Now the PLAD I can use the crane to put, I could have actually put 2 more loads of bricks on the back here, and he would still have pulled it through. Okay, now as we went through here earlier with the Avonhorn, we got stuck again, and we had to pull ourselves through again. Excuse me. And the PLAD seems to be doing okay. He's a little slower, but it doesn't seem to bother him. And there again, like I said, every once in a while you're going to get caught somewhere where there are no trees or logs or any winch points. And if you don't have the winch points, then if you get stuck, then you're really stuck. So you got to keep that in mind depending upon the trail that you're gonna take the truck onto, right? So now as we're coming down here, I've been through here with the Kenworth 963 as well, and every time I would go through this part, I would slide off to the side because it's really slippery here. But neither the Avonhorn or the PLAD showed any sign of slipping. Absolutely fantastic. Now we are in the first stage of the ground control contract, and when we finish delivering the bricks, we will have to deliver in the second stage, we'll have to deliver a service trailer. And after that, we get to go and hold the rocket, the assembled rocket out of the hab hangar. That'll be very exciting. Hope you'll join us for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of like the finale, the last contract that needs to be done. That's why we got to get mission control ready by delivering all this stuff and getting them up and running. So let's just make sure that we make it across the bridge here. Now the map is kind of split in two with bodies of water running through the middle, and we're at the southern part of the map, and is one of the few decent ways of getting across the water, and now we're on the other side. And here again, you know, these little mud pits, the PLAD probably would have gone through it, but a lot slower. So I still, whenever I see them, just to be on the safe side, if there's room beside the mud pit, miss it by just the outside tires. If you can miss it by more, obviously. But other than that, you know, like here, he can run through the middle, and makes no difference to him whatsoever. And if he's got one set of tires in the mud, it's not such a big deal either. It just makes for easier driving because, you know, after getting stuck a few times in the beginning of the game when I really wasn't sure about what I was doing, I kind of had enough of that part of the game, and I just don't feel like being stuck in the mud anymore. I like to see some progress. And, you know, believe it or not, when I first started Amour, I had a really, really hard time. And it was very difficult to get some of these jobs and tasks done, you know. But I just kept at it. And I started picking off one job here, one job there. And the progress was really slow. But, you know, here we are, lo and behold, we're at the end of the road for this region. You know, this service trailer, and then we're going to have a lift. I can't wait. That's going to be something different. I'd like to see that rocket fly off into space. As you see, we just went through another little mud pit, and along this route here, we got a few swampy areas that we're going to go through. And there again, too, I test a couple of them where I go right through the middle of them, and it slows the PLAD down a little bit. It does slow it down, I gotta admit, but it doesn't stop him. And which is pretty good as well, because how else would you get through this area? But he goes through it at a fair clip, not like I've had other trucks through here where it took a while to get through, and then some of them I used to go four-wheeling off the side to see if I could find a shortcut, but no dice. This is the only way in and out of this area of the map, and some trucks do it better than others. And I must admit that the PLAD is one of the best at it, going through this kind of stuff. Anyhow, we're getting close, really close to mission control here. Now here's one of the last little mud pits that we go through. Oh no, I think there's one more up ahead there. See, the thing is, if you get stuck in one of these, there's still enough logs and trees and poles around to keep you winch yourself up. So I figure, well, let's just give it a shot. Let's take him right through the middle and see how fast he'll go through it. Well, he seems to move okay, and, you know, not much of an issue. He is fast becoming one of my favorite trucks. And I think those three trucks, depending upon the kind of job you have, the terrain you got to drive, I think the Kenworth 963 and the PLAD 450 and the Avonhorn A15, those I think are probably, up to now, because I don't know what's going to be coming up in the future, but up to now, those are probably the best trucks in SnowRunner. My favorites, definitely, you know. But if I have to, well, I have to, because we were talking about comparing the PLAD and the Avonhorn being very similar trucks. So if I have to give an honest opinion on that, and there again, this is just my opinion, I mean, you can take it for what it's worth, but if my honest opinion is that I would never rate these trucks 1 and 2. I would rate them 1A and 1B. That's the furthest I can separate them, and I would take the PLAD 450 and make him A1 or 1A, sorry, because of just power and being able to have the crane on the back. For that reason alone, I would make the PLAD A1, and I would make the Avonhorn A15 A2. Where we're going to throw the Kenworth 963, it depends on what region you're on. If you're in the mud and the dry areas, boy, I tell you, he soars to the top. But if you're in the snow and the ice, these two guys are two huge leaders in the game. That's my opinion. You take it for what it's worth. Try them out and make up your own mind. Maybe, if you have a difference of opinion, or even if you agree, leave a note down below, and let's try and start a discussion to see which one really is the best truck in SnowRunner. You know? Nobody knows for sure until you get to use them and try them. And everybody has got a different opinion and a different outlook. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyhow, until the next time, when we are hopefully going to be lifting that rocket off, I hope you'll join us here at OpenFed Gaming. And until then, you've been running through the snow in a PLAD 450 with me, the OpenFed.